Morning, lovely people. Mr. Lesham here, and today we're going to talk about negative angles and angles that are larger than 360. So we start with trig, very simple. We start with angles that are between 0 to 90 in a triangle. And then slowly we expanded it to the second quadrant where the angles are between 90 and 180. And then 180 to 270 and 270 to 360. So what does it mean a negative angle? What does it mean minus 20 degrees? Okay, well, let's think about it going the other way. You're absolutely right. So 20 degrees, okay? 20 degrees means you went 20 degrees. What is that? Anti-clockwise. Is that anti-clockwise? Anti-clockwise. 120 is going to be somewhere in the second quadrant, but it's all measured anti-clockwise. Woo! Okay?
And the signs are just opposites.
So now we're just yes and no. We'll see that. We'll see that. Okay? But what we're saying now, minus 20 means I'm just going down. Okay? So if this is theta, this is going to be minus theta. It's the same angle, but just in this direction. And now what we need to find out is write a relationship, find what is sine minus theta, cosine minus theta, and tan minus theta. We need to figure out what they are. And how do we do it? Just from our knowledge of that A is T, what is that?
D.
C.
Oh.
All student take over, yeah?
Oh.
Okay? So how does that help us? That reminds us, okay, I'll put that down here. That reminds us which one is negative and which one is positive. So if I've got sine minus theta, that means I went from the first quadrant to the fourth. What happens to sine here?
It turns into
Sine is negative here, remember?
Yeah.
I don't remember this casting. I just remember sine is all about the y or the r. So the y's are positive here, they're negative there. Cosine is all about x over r. So they're positive here, negative there. And the tan will be positive here and here because you understand, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So sine minus theta will be minus sine theta. Okay? It's going to be negative on the fourth quadrant, right? Okay? In fact, it doesn't actually even have to be negative in the fourth quadrant. When I do minus 20 is here, right?
Yeah.
But what about minus 120? Where is minus 120?
It's going to be
Which quadrant will that be?
third.
It will be on the third.
Yeah.
So 120, sine 120, the sign is positive.
In the second.
Sine minus 120
Negative.
is going to be negative. In any case, the minus jumps out. Okay, let's move on to cosine. Cosine, here and here, if you compare these two things here, cosine is positive here. What happens to cosine here?
Positive.
It's still positive. So we just write cosine theta.
Is this the only three we're gonna have to learn, or is it the
Yeah,
whole?
no, that's it. That's it. Okay? Now, I can also look at an angle here. Let's say the cosine is here. Let's say I start from the second quadrant. What will be the cosine now? Positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative. But now if I have cosine minus theta, I'm going to be in the third quadrant. Still going to be negative, so I don't need to slap in the minus. It would be negative here, and it will be negative there. So no need to put a minus.
Learning those things.
Yes, yeah. But I'm trying to get you to understand. Okay. Now, what happens to tan minus theta? Well, remember, I gave you that relationship last lesson. Okay? Tan theta is equal to sine theta divided by cos. Okay, that's something new that we learned this year. Okay? Now, so tan minus theta, the sine becomes negative.
Yes.
The cosine remains positive. So what do you reckon will it be? Negative. Okay? So that is what we need to memorize. And it's even better if we understand why. I'll pause here. Let's use what we've learned now, and we still need to remember what we've learned last lesson about the reduction formulas. Okay? To simplify this. Okay? We want to simplify this. Okay, let's start with sine minus theta. What is sine minus theta?
Sine minus theta is negative sine.
Negative sine theta. So I'm going to write negative sine theta. That becomes negative sine theta. Okay. tan theta 1 plus 180. That's one of the reduction. We're moving from the first to the third. What happens to tan?
It stays positive.
Stays the same. Okay? And what I want to do, I will give you some time, I think. I'm going to maybe ask you to do that on Friday. We'll see. But I'm getting you to write down all the formulas on one page. And that you can work with it. That will be a good exercise. Okay? Right. Cosine theta minus 80. That's a tough one. Let's leave him for a second. Okay? We'll come back to him in a second. Cosine minus theta? Cos theta. Okay, no minus. Sine 180 minus theta, that's a reduction formula from the first to the second one. Sine theta. There's no negative, right? On the second,
Yeah.
we are in the second quarter, sine is still above. Y is still above. Okay. Now we got a problem with this. Theta minus 180. Did we have anything like that? No. We had 180 minus theta, but we don't have theta minus 180. What can we do?
Negative and then change it around.
Good, good. You're doing a switch method. So you're saying, let's rewrite that as negative 180 minus theta. I'll have to put another bracket here. So let's make these square brackets. And you see that? If I want to swap them around, I can do that. Swap them around as long as I slap in a minus before that.
But then
I'll just pause.
didn't you do tan?
And what you notice, Chloe, that here normally we had it as 180 plus theta, and now we have theta plus 180, but that doesn't, we can swap that around. We don't need to add a minus like we did here. Okay, because the same reason as 180 plus theta is the same as theta plus 180. There's no problem there. Okay, now let's start cancelling out a few things. Okay, I can cancel those two. Okay, now I've got minus tan theta. Right, what should we do with this? Look at this. We've got cosine minus something. That's an angle. I can use this rule.
Wait, why is it minus 10 theta?
Minus 180 minus theta. So we can call it a K method if you want. Not that I want you to do, but I can rewrite it as cosine minus K, where K equal what? What is K equal? 180 minus theta, right?
Is that the only way you can?
No, I don't want you to do it now. It's the first time I'm just showing you, but I want you to see that this is minus a certain angle. Now, what can that tell me? What is cosine minus K?
Cosine minus K.
I mean, theta, don't get stuck with, it doesn't always have to be theta.
Cos K.
It's going to be equal to cos K,
Yeah.
right? In other words, how can I write that one? I can write that as cos K. But what is K? K is 180 minus theta, right? So I'm going to write this as 180 minus theta. I got rid of that minus. Okay? Because cosine a minus of an angle is equal to cosine the angle. It's just that the angle now is not just theta, it's 180 minus theta. I'll pause here. So, I'm on my way. Again, as I said, not on the camera, my aim here is to get rid of all the 180s, the minus theta. I want just theta. So, I've still some work to do here. I still have cosine theta here. Okay, the sine just died. Okay, so how can I transform that? I'm going to write the rest. Minus tan theta times something cosine theta. What is cosine 180 minus theta? We've learned it last lesson. We're going from first to second. Minus cos. And really I should put brackets here, because if you don't put brackets, it looks like you're doing tan minus cosine. We're timing it. Okay? Okay. What can I do now?
Cancelling master.
Cancelling that.
Yes.
And I have also minus time minus.
Tan
So I simply have tan theta. And I think you agree with me, that's more simple than
Ooh,
this
So
one.
you use the rule for cos 180 minus
Yes.
to get minus
Wait.
cos.
Correct.
Wait, how is
I'll say goodbye here. Cheerios. Pretty easy, and I'm going to add something which is even easier. Let me start with a question. Cosine 390. What does that mean? I'm going over 360 degrees.
All the way around in 20, not 30.
Good. Cosine 390 is basically what Finn's saying is 360 plus 30, right? 390 is 360 plus 30. What is 360? Okay, 360 I'm going where from the x, I come back here, and I'm going another 30. So Fern is correctly saying that's just simply cosine 30. Okay? I just did the whole revolution. I'll pause. Right. Okay, so we need some kind of formula, and it's actually a really easy formula. If I have sine 360 plus theta, what is that going to be reduced to?
Negative sine theta. I know jokes. Sine.
Sine.
Sine plus 30. Sine 30.
Well, but 30 was an example. Okay, now theta, we just have a theta.
Wait, what do you mean?
Okay?
30 was an
If I went 360 plus theta, this was an example for theta equal 30. If I went 360 plus theta, I could have just gone theta and not do the 360. Okay? Now, we can have a similar one for cos and tan. 360 plus theta will be what equal to? Cos theta, it doesn't have any effect because we just did the whole round and we got to where we started. And tan, same.
Well done.
All the same. Oh, not cos,
So they're
tan.
all positive. Is it a good
No positive. It doesn't change anything because all we need is one revolution. And then we went again theta. I'll pause here. The next question obviously I should ask, and already some people asked me, what about, this is, up to tan 750. 750 is 720 plus 30, right? What is 720?
It's
2 revolution.
So,
It's still going to be equal to tan 30. Okay? Because I can do 2 revolution and I can even do more. I can do 3 revolution and whatever you want. Okay? So let's make up a formula for n revolution. Let's say I did, I don't know what, 15 revolutions. Okay? Let me write it down for you and then I'll answer the question. If I have sine, let's call it 360k plus theta, okay? Where k equal 0, 1, 2, 3, whatever, okay? I can go 360, add 360, or I can add 720, or I can add whatever is the next one. The answer is always going to be the same. What is it going to be? Sine theta. And cosine 360k plus theta is also going to be equal to cosine theta. K can be any, as long as it's an integer. It can't be 1.2 or 1.5. I can't do 1.5 of a revolution, but I can do 1 revolution, 2 revolution, 3 revolution. Okay? Tan 360 plus theta equal tan theta. Okay? Now I'm going to add one more thing. What about if I'm doing a revolution, you tell me what kind of revolution? Minus. What if I'm going backward 1 revolution? So let's say I can say k is -1, -2, -3. Will it affect it? Will it affect the result if I'm going 1 whole revolution in this direction? No, it's the same. Okay, so I can go 360 in this direction, or I can go 360 in that direction, or 720 in this direction, 2 revolution, or 720 in that direction. It's still going to be easy peasy lemon squeezy. I'll say goodbye here and I'll answer some quick angry questions.